Hello and welcome to another CadoinkStudios replay. We have for you today another series in our Moorecraft series. This is going to be a best of 5 between the players Jack and PowerRanger. So, let's go into the game. So, today in the top right hand corner of Shakuris Plateau we have Jack the Blue Terran, while in the right we have the red Protoss player, PowerRanger, saying good luck, have fun, broski. So the two players are spawning on close air on Shakuris Plateau. It is a good map for expanding quite early, as you have this very small choke defending your natural for both players, all spawns. And yeah, so hopefully we'll see some early expanding coming from both the players, and we should also see some air attacks and a lot of air movement, seeing as they're very close air spawning positions today. So the two players right now are just doing the usual things. We have Jack going for the wall off at his choke, while PowerRanger is looking to take this early expand with maybe a Forge first type of deal. So we will see what comes out for our red Protoss hero today. Everything seems pretty normal as of right now. Supply depot just finishing up for Jack, and he's sending out his first SCV. And we don't see the Forge first, we do see the Gateway first. Looks like he's not going to gear up to build a really early cannon, so I don't know how early this this Nexus will be. And the Barracks is coming out for Jack right now. So two players doing some fairly normal things. We have a gas coming up for Protoss player. Might see some early sentries and stalkers, and he is scouting down here. However, Jack cannot spawn there as that is close ground. Jack has indeed found the Protoss player first, and he's going to go up and he sees the gateway, and he's going to see this assimilator, and he's going to see this other Vespene Geyser empty, and he's going to be attacking the Nexus just for a little bit of time. Jack getting his refinery up right now. Standard build for Terran, probably going to go for some sort of tank play. We see a lot of medevac drops out of Jack. As far as PowerRanger goes, we see a lot of stalkers from PowerRanger, a lot of zealots. He loves zealots, and he likes flanking Terran players' tanks with his zealots. It's actually really good if there are a bunch of units at his choke. Well, let's go to his choke. If there are a bunch of units at his choke, and he has some tanks here, he'll often warp in zealots down here and run them up behind the tanks and destroy the tanks, seeing as all the Marines and Marauders will be up on this ramp. Now we do see the Cybernetics core coming up, so we will not see a Forge very soon, and I suspect we won't see a Nexus for a while as well. He's opting not to get this Zealot right now. Maybe he's saving up for it, or maybe he's just going to forgo getting that Zealot to get another gateway or some other structure, maybe to start getting warp gates as soon as possible. We see he's up at 42 supply, capacity of 42 supply, so he's got quite a bit of pylons, a little bit more than he needs at this current time. He could squeeze out a Zealot if he opts to not build a pylon in a later game, and we do see the warp gates coming out. As far as Jack is concerned, we see this factory barracks play. We see quite normally out of Jack building the second barracks with a tech lab so that it can switch with the factory and get those tanks out. At the same time, he gets this here refinery, and seeming to saturate the right side of his mineral patch, needs to move his rally point over to the left a little bit. Not that it'll make an incredible amount of difference, but it might make a little bit. See a pylon down here for PowerRanger, going to be doing some warp-ins hopefully later. If he can get vision, he can warp up on this high ground, and if Jack chooses to expand right here, he can run in Zealots and really do some damage. I saw a game where Liquid Ret lost to this sort of play, as he could not find a pylon that was up in this base, and every time he tried to expand, they were able to sweep down. His opponent was able to sweep down with Zealots and destroy it. So it's very smart by the Protoss player to get some sort of pylon up there. Going to be sending his probe up to scout, but it is walled off and there's quite a bit of Marines, and they're just going to pick off that probe real quick. See a Hellion coming out, as well as siege mode for Jack, and then a tech lab onto his barracks. We're probably going to see some sort of Marauder play. We also see a starport for Jack's ever so favorite medevac drops that he does love to do. Nexus going down for the red Protoss player. Fairly early Nexus here at 6 minutes, and he has this sentry up to do some force fields as well as a stalker to shoot around. Marines pushing out, scouting around, maybe trying to find some pylons in his natural, but there are none at this time. He's got that Hellion, and he's getting this. He should be getting this tank out fairly soon. Seeing as he is floating 400 minerals, but it looks like he might be gearing up, to take an expansion. I think it's a wise move on Jack's part, seeing as he does have this nice big army, but I don't think he knows quite what the Protoss player has, so he really should kind of push out, poke out a little bit. But I like this bunker play here. It's something I'm starting to see more and more Terrans do, is put up a bunker and put some Marines in it and decide to take that early expansion. Well, not quite early, but take an expansion and then just have it well defended so their econ can get up. We see more stalkers coming out for our Protoss hero, and Jack's probe is safely hiding inside the base. At some point he should really sacrifice it to come up here and see what kind of things he can see. He can see that this Robo Bay is finished, and we're probably going to see some Immortals, if not Colossi, in the near future. But right now we just see an observer. There's a scan going down for Jack. He's going to be able to see that Robo as well as these three gates, and then he knows about the one in the front as well as the cybernetics core. May even have seen these stalkers, but he did not see the Nexus. However, he could assume, because PowerRanger has so many units up here, that he did decide to take that expansion. That might be why Jack geared up to take his. He has this tank down right now to do some defending, as well as this bunker completed with 1 Marauder and 2 Marines in it, poking a little Marine forward so that it can get that extra little bit of vision that tank needs to deal damage at the full length of its range. Medevac coming out for Jack right now. Oh no, excuse me, a Viking, 2 Vikings. I feel like he's anticipating that Colossus plane. He wants to make sure he has some Vikings since he saw that Robo Bay. However, he did not see a robotics, since he saw the robotics facility. However, he did not see a robotics bay. So there isn't a chance of Colossi coming out right now, especially since there is no robotics bay. A lot of stalkers for the Protoss player. I surprised to see not that many zealots. He's going to come and scout around with his observer, and he will see this tank as well as all these Marines. And these Marines might be the reason for him getting that stalker, because Jack really needs Marauders to take care of stalkers in mass quantities. But here, look at this. You see these 2 zealots here? It's for exactly what I was talking about before. If Jack comes and attacks right here, when his Marines and Marauders get up there, he will be able to pull those zealots around. We see that the SCV came down to do some scouting, and he did indeed see this Nexus. He knows that PowerRanger has an expansion, and hopefully he'll deal with it accordingly. His natural base is, or his main base, excuse me, is very dry right now as he's moved probes over to his natural, which is good. He's building probes in each, but a little bit supply blocked at this time. Now he's pushing forward with all his units, sending his Hellion out in front, as well as this Marine to do some scouting, and we'll see these Zealots, I'm sure, come around once that tank is sieged. Oh man, but Warp Prism comes in the way, and he's able to pick it off with the Vikings. Wow, that was incredibly lucky by Jack that PowerRanger sent him in that direction. Otherwise, that might have been bad news for Jack. And here he goes, pushing his tanks forward, and he's going to do them. He's going to siege them up. Oh, but here comes the Stalkers before they're able to siege, and his units are a little bit far back. And oh my gosh, he's moving his Stalkers forward to not absorb the tank damage, but it's just too many units against the Stalkers. We see that PowerRanger has 1,700 minerals floating. Here comes the Zealots coming around. Should be going for these tanks, but instead they're going for the units. He even landed this Viking, seeing as there was no Colossi, just to do some extra damage. And he picks off these pylons, powering down both these units. And oh my goodness, he won't be able to warp in any more Stalkers as the cybernetics core is about to go down. And here comes more Zealots to do some damage, but those tanks are just going to be able to take them off and make them run back. Oh my goodness, he's not producing out of his robotics facility, and his expansion, his natural, is looking very, very bad right now. Here comes the Zealots to try to do some damage, but it's not going to be enough as these tanks are resieging, and here comes 3 more Zealots, and oh man, they just go down to the Marine and Marauder fire as well as this Viking, and it is not looking good for PowerRanger this time. I don't see what he can do. He needs to get another robotics facility, or excuse me, another cybernetics core up, but oh, there goes his natural, and I just don't see this game ending well for PowerRanger this time. Seems to be, he has Zealot legs finished, which is good, but it's just not going to be enough. And there's the good game. Wow. Very great game played by Jack as well as Power Ranger. I really like that early Nexus play, as well as getting those a lot of those stalkers because of the Marine count. However, he just needed more of them, and I think it was kind of interesting that he opted to get the Zealot legs while he had so many stalkers. I feel like maybe he should have gotten that blink so he could have blinked forward and picked off those tanks before sending those Zealots in, or while sending those Zealots in. And then at the same time, very good play by Jack, building those Marines, Marauders, and tanks, and even those Vikings landing him when he saw that he didn't have any Colossi. I thought that was great play. I would have liked to have seen what would have happened if the Warp Prism hadn't run right into the path of the units. He probably should have sent it straight up here rather than going down. Could have warped in some Zealots in the back of Jack's base, and that would have done just terrible, terrible damage to him. And yeah, could have been a different game. But great game, Jack. Congratulations on the win and the first of this best of 5 between Power Ranger and Jack. This is a Moorecraft series here at CadoinkStudios, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.